Welcome back to the podcast. So, just wanted to do quick introductions. We have
Glad to be here.
Justin Lemaster to my right,
Hello.
Jeff Mcknight across from me,
Hello.
and as always, your host, Pat Galvin. So, Jeff, introduce yourself. Tell us a little something about you and your family.
Well, I am Jeff Mcknight. I live here in Grandview, where we all grew up. And I have a wife. Her name is Allison, who also grew up here. And we have a daughter named Chloe, who is 8 years old.
Very nice. How about you, Justin?
Justin Lemaster, born and raised Grandview Heights. Known you guys pretty much my whole life. So got a lot of good stories and stuff, and things to talk about. I am also married, wife Kate, and I've got two boys, Colton and Lucas, 5 and 2. So life is never dull. How about you, Pat?
Very nice. I am Pat Galvin. I'm 32 years old, about to be 33. I have one wife and one child, our son Jameson. We named him Jameson because of the similarity between Andrew and I is we're both Irish. So we like the Irish name Jameson. As soon as we had him, everyone said, "Oh, you guys must drink Jameson." We said, "Well, yeah, we do, but that wasn't the reason we named him that." So we have another kid on the way within the next few hours, probably. My wife's home having contractions, and her name will be McCallan.
I bet she loves you right now.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were going to say Corona.
Yeah, real funny. But she'll go by Scout. So that is my family. So this is Dad's Review. Friends get together, talk about our families, family life, and what it's like to have children. Now, Justin is the only one that has 2 kids right as of now. So what was the difference going from 1 kid to 2 kids?
When you have the first kid, everything is new. So you have this terrified feeling about everything, and then the second kid comes along, and it's just you kind of ignore things that you didn't in the first kid. It's kind of strange.
The thing that I keep thinking about is we have 1 kid and we have an awesome routine. We've been in that routine for almost 2 years.
Yeah, that'll change.
I don't know how it's going to change. It's so solid. I don't know how we're going to add another kid into it. Or is that how you felt? Was your routine so solid that you didn't know how it was going to change?
We had our routines, but I think our biggest challenge was, our routine was based on, having some time to ourselves, to be able to relax a little bit, after you get the little one to sleep. And then when you have 2, they're almost never on the same schedule. They're always different. So that little bit of time that you had with the first kid, it's gone with the second kid. You're constantly doing stuff, whether it's getting up at night, feeding the kid, taking one to school or daycare. You're just constantly running around. It's just it's a constant state of exhaustion, but it's worth it. It's everything they say, and we'll certainly probably get into some funny stories and some not so funny stories about kids growing up. But it's well worth it, and it's great to come home and have them hug you around the leg and say welcome home and hey dad and all that stuff. So it's good.
Nice. Now, Jeff, you said Chloe's 8.
Yes.
Correct. How's that having an 8-year-old?
Well, it's a little bit of a roller coaster so far, especially her being a girl. Our house looks like a sorority for little children because there's stuff everywhere.
It looks like a JoJo Siwa concert.
Well, it did, and now she's over that.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
now her and her friends come over and pretend they're YouTubers.
Yes.
So that's the new thing.
YouTube is taking over everything.
Yeah.
Like you remember, like us as kids, back in the early '90s, where it was just like Saturday morning cartoons.
Yep.
Now it's so wrapped around YouTube videos, and Colton, my oldest, he'll sit there all day if you let him and just watch toy reviews, and then of course as a dad, I start looking at all these videos and I'm like, how much are these freaking people making? And you Google them and it's like they're making $8 million, $10 million.
They make a lot of money on it.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but yeah. So he is just wrapped into watching YouTube. So it's good and bad. Of course he sees like a toy some kid's playing with, and all of a sudden he adds that to his Christmas list. So.
Well, those guys that are making $8 million can afford that $200 toy
Yes,
easily.
they can. Yes.
And then your kid wants one, and his sibling wants one. You're like,
You gotta buy 2.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And then they break it, and they need another one.
But-
Too funny.
No, she's coming into her own. At the new school, and our block has a lot of kids on it. So kind of like growing up, you always had that house that you always hung out at. It seemed like our house is kind of turning into that.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll wake up, and it would take, well, for instance, one Saturday morning I woke up at 7:30, and there were 4 little girls sitting in my living room. And then another time I woke up and I was in bed, and my feet were hanging off the bed, and I had 4 little girls laughing at me because they were making fun of my feet, and I didn't appreciate.
Why were
that.
they making fun of
What
your
would
feet?
I
wrong
don't
with
know.
your feet?
I have very normal feet.
Very flat, long feet.
I have large feet.
Cool.
Yeah.
So did you take Chloe out in the snow? What did
Yes.
you think of it?
Not today.
Yeah.
Just because there's too much snow today. But last weekend
Correct.
we went sledding. We went to Wyman Woods.
There's actually so much snow out currently right now as we're recording that it all turned to water immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They shut down North Hamilton Road too.
I think they call it rain.
Ran.
Rain.
Rain.
Yes.
Rain.
Yeah, it's raining.
Yeah.
Yeah. Snow later,
Yeah.
but it's raining right now. What about your boys? They like the snow?
Yeah, they do. Both of them got to do some sledding actually last weekend with the snow. Got a couple inches of snow, so we actually went to my mother and father-in-law's old house. We actually sold it last week, so we took them over there to go down the hill a few times. So they had quite a bit of fun. So the neighbors came over and stuff like that. So it was good.
Nice.
Good time.
We took Jameson out in the snow, but we were cleaning the house and trying to entertain him at the same time. Snow was falling. We knew there was snow out. We wanted to go outside, and he was already upset, screaming. And then we tried to put him in a snowsuit, and then he was screaming because he was in a snowsuit. We went outside, took about 3 pictures of him not smiling but not upset, and then he just went into temper tantrum. So
Yeah,
we didn't really get to enjoy the snow, the last snowfall.
My youngest did the Ralphie from A Christmas Story face plant into the snow.
Nice.
It was great. Yeah, he was just walking around digging in the snow, and he's like stiff as a board because he's got so many clothes on, and to keep him dry, and he just kind of leaned over a little too far and just fell right face first in the snow. It was awesome.
So, Jeff, Chloe is in a new school. She's
Yes.
8 years old. What grade is she in?
Second.
Grade. Very cool. And then, Justin, your kids are still in daycare?
The oldest actually is in kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
Yep.
And youngest is in
He's-
daycare.
Yep.
Our son's in daycare, and it is literally draining our checking account every 2 weeks.
Second mortgage.
It is insane. I cannot
I
believe
couldn't
it.
wait till Chloe was in school with me for that reason.
I can't. I am not looking forward to the second kid going to daycare. We're going to be doubling that price, which is already insane. Daycare is so crazy expensive. But when they're both out, it's like we hit the lottery. We're going to have a bunch of cash reserve, which is going to be awesome.
Oh yeah. But the benefits of having a good daycare as well, to where A, they're in a safe environment. B,
Yeah.
they're probably learning something and doing things, and that's what's most important. And I guess it makes the expense worth it. But
Correct.
But man, it's a pretty painful check to write every week or every month or however you decide to pay.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
But it's what you have to do.
Yeah. So we all grew up together as kids. Now, Jeff and I, our dads actually grew up together when they were younger. So we knew each other from birth, basically, because our dads were best friends.
Yes.
The story actually goes that my parents took me to your house from the hospital before I even went to my house.
That's true.
Very crazy. So it's so funny to see what our kids are doing, which, our kids don't really get together and
No,
play.
they don't.
And it's getting older, moving different places. We actually have trouble getting together, which is part of the reason why we wanted to start this podcast. But it's so funny seeing in my kid, and I assume it's the same with you guys, seeing them do stuff that we did when we were younger kids. And I can't remember what I was telling my wife earlier today, but I was mentioning a story about when I was younger, and she looked at me and she goes, you know, when he starts understanding things, you can't talk about the crazy shit you used to do. So I was like, okay, yeah, I should probably stop doing that. I don't want to put any thoughts in his head. But what do you think?
Well, you know, they get similar traits from seeing mom and dad, obviously. And one Chloe has gotten from me is being very slow in the morning. She doesn't want to wake up to go to school. She doesn't want to get ready to go to school. And she wants to go to school, but she just wants to have a good time, and it drives me crazy. So I call her my little sloth. And my mom and dad say it's payback for all the years that I was the exact same growing up.
Yeah. Yep. Too
Yeah.
funny.
So as you're getting used to fatherhood, you know, what are some things that you know, I guess like maybe you didn't expect to have happen? You know, is there a story or something? You know, something that you don't get out of a magazine or a book or taking a class.
You know, when Andrew and I, my wife Andrew, when we moved in together, we actually got a dog right before we moved in with each other. And I'd never had a dog before. I grew up with cats. I'd clean litter boxes and stuff. But I had never actually picked shit up out of the yard. And that was a new experience for me with the dog. And I think that was the one thing I was not expecting was human poop, cleaning up human poop every day.
That's great, yeah.
I would say we probably 50-50 do diapers. But I feel like the poops always fall on my turn. And I just wasn't expecting to clean up that poop. I'm not looking forward to now two poops clean up. Now, I do have to say, we just started Jameson. He'll be 2 in about a month from now, and we started him on a training potty, and he has been going on that training potty, which is awesome. So, hoping to kind of transfer him over to the toilet, and then we'll get the new baby into the diapers. But yeah, I think that was the one thing that it was the poop. I knew there was a bunch of other stuff that I wasn't expecting.
No doubt. And honestly, you know, along those lines of crap, you know, a couple stories to share. The first one was when Colton was just a baby. He was having trouble, you know, doing that. So we had to get suppositories, and you know, that's like a game of roulette, like the real game. Yeah, it's. You kind of got to hold it in there and wait for the pressure to build and release at the right time. Otherwise, you're yourself in a little bit of trouble. And then I also remember, you know, another story was he wasn't feeling very well, and we were in the process of changing him, and we realized he was you know, about to crap himself again. So I took it upon myself, you know, thinking, hey, this is a great idea. Let me just get him over the toilet. That way, whatever happens. So I pick him up out of his crib, and I'm running as fast as I can, you know, 10 feet to get to the bathroom, and I have him at a 45-degree angle, getting him down towards the toilet, and he just like lets out a shotgun blast, and it's like all over the back of the toilet, like it's everywhere. And it was that's not something that you know, they prepared you for, you know, having a kid. So yeah, you get to deal with a lot of bodily fluids and stuff like that.
The suppositories you mentioned, we bought one of those starter kits, the kid kits, when we had Jameson. And in it had a thing called a butt whistle, and it was a little thing that you stick in the butt, and it literally, when the air releases, it whistles, and it says as soon as you hear the whistle, you pull it out. And I can't count how many times I caught poop in my hand.
That's great.
I have to use one of those at least twice a week for myself.
Do you have that issue?
No. You know what? When Chloe was a baby, she was a pretty regular pooper. She still is. Yeah. Hopefully, she's old enough she can listen to this. I'm probably gonna get in trouble, but you know, we never really had any issues with her pooping.
That's good.
That's great.
That's good.
Well, we've covered poop pretty well, I think, so far, which you know is something that all kids do.
Yeah. Too funny. Well, so how is Chloe adjusting to the new school?
She's doing really well. She's met a lot of good friends, and she's never really liked basketball, but this year she wanted to play basketball. So I told her I'd coach, and she wanted Allie and I to coach her. So we had seen her play basketball maybe a couple times, and her sport to us is softball. She was kind of a natural at it. So the first game, we only had maybe one practice before, and you can't tell in the practice. It was only a half an hour. First game, she comes out, and she literally scores 20 points her first game. And it was like 34 to 20. She scored 20 out of 34 points.
That's awesome.
So stuff like that surprises you.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
Yeah, they'll amaze you every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
It was a really cool surprise.
Now, she wanted to play basketball.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about getting her to try all sports? Or do you let her tell you what she's interested in?
Well, I think I kind of screwed up before because she wanted to. I made her play basketball when she was probably 3 in that Jumpstart stuff. Have your boys done Jumpstart?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Jumpstart's like before organized school sports. And she played, and she was one of the youngest girls, and she had to play with boys, and it just intimidated her too much, I feel like. So she didn't want anything to do with basketball. So I'm in the middle with that one because you don't want to force them to do something, then they'll hate it.
Yeah.
But you want them to try everything.
Yeah.
I don't like soccer, but I want her to play it next year.
Yeah, Colton's done some flag football. He's also done some baseball. The flag football he has enjoyed. This past season, I actually coached him, and he's in kindergarten, and the league was kindergarten through 2nd grade, and man, there's a big difference. Just with kids' natural ability, from when they're 5 versus when they're 7. So. I think he had fun, but I don't think he had as much fun as you'd hope that he'd have doing it. I mean, just because he's just so undersized, just doesn't have the athletic ability yet in him to be able to compete with someone who's 7 years old, and it's it was a little disappointing, because you kind of had to move him around a little bit and play positions that he probably shouldn't be playing, but also trying to give him opportunities too. But kind of seeing some of that fear, kind of makes you a little nervous. But hopefully he'll want to do it again this year. But
well, you've been coaching long enough.
If he
know
doesn't,
fundamentals are key. So once you learn that, it'll all come natural.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was just I think it was more or less the league structure that we had to play in was a little bit of a struggle to him. But he does. He's in the Cub Scouts. He absolutely loves Cub Scouts. We're actually working on his Pinewood Derby car, so he's been really enjoying that. Let him, kind of work with the saw and stuff and sand it and do
Nice.
that kind of thing. So he's really enjoying that. So he's kind of come into his own, got his own personality and stuff. So it's cool to see. He's got some similarities to me, but he also has some things that are just totally different, and that's cool too. So it's, as a parent, it'll be interesting to see how we adapt to doing things that maybe we're a little less comfortable with. So we'll see.
Yeah, Jameson's a little top heavy and runs into everything and trips and falls, and when he gets tired, he runs into everything and falls. And daycare suggested a place in Upper Arlington Wendy's tumbling class. It's like a gymnastics for kids or whatever. So we're going to sign him up for his birthday, and he's going to do that. And they said that should help with his balance.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So we're going to get him into that. But looking forward, there are some sports I want him to try, but I think there's a fine line of, like you said, pushing to try something and making them hate it. I played a lot of hockey, and I know hockey's not offered everywhere, but I'd like them to try it and stuff like that. But
no, I think it's good for them to try, anything that they want to do. I mean, to see if they like it or not. I'd say one thing, as far as just being a parent, not necessarily a dad, but just a parent in general. Today we took him to his second swim lesson, and he's at the point where they want him to dunk his head in the water a little bit, and he's at a point where he's afraid to do that. He's not sure how to go about that. He's worried about getting water in his lungs and stuff like that, and so you're putting your trust in an instructor who's not you. You're not in the water. You're just sitting there watching him, and to see him kind of look up at you like, get me the hell out of here, and you just kind of have to be reserved and just like, give him some confidence, but also kind of let him learn it on his own. That's that's something that's it's kind of hard to sit back because you want to go and you just kind of want to jump in there naturally and help out, and it's kind of hard to let that go a little bit. I don't know if that's just me personally, but it was kind of hard to watch him like kind of struggle a little bit with something and kind of want to be like, hey, I'm done with this, but
Yeah.
try to encourage them as much as you can from a distance to, hey, just keep doing it. You're gonna figure it out. It's gonna be fine.
It's frustrating because you know that you understand it, but they not necessarily they understand it. So it's frustrating. You can't get that across. But well, good. Well, I think this is good for our first podcast. I think we'll sign off and come back at you with another podcast here shortly.
All right. Well, everybody be safe on the roads.
Yep.
And,
Snow's coming.
Yes.
Winter is here.
Eventually.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Okay. Bye.
See ya.